Shout out to all my Durham block niggas, you know what I mean? Yeah. 2105. Okay. Cocky nigga with a gold mouth, pull up in a Lexus, but it should've been a glass house. LA went with it, nigga, that's out. Fucking on this bitch, I give it to her till I pass out. Daisy dope, big booty with the ass out. Sit her on the blade, I bet they double back and cash out. Independent, I ain't never took a handout. Niggas in the hood be looking at you with their hand out. Whoa, bop, blow her back out. Hit the backyard, big homies in the back house. Drinking on hen dog and playing Earth Wind loud. On the set, you know I'ma make my mama proud. Told me I'm the chosen one like Eddie Murphy Golden Child. Hit the weed shit, it been a while. Tati told me take a hit and hold it, and I couldn't help but smile. Whoa, bop, blow her back out. Whoa, bop, blow her back out.
50 million ways to win, choose one, nigga. Yeah. Pull up in the ghost, watch the bulls come, nigga. Yeah. Compton, California, where are you from, nigga? You the talking type, me? I just do something to you,
Why
nigga.
they hate you, P?
I don't know, man. Let me think about it. Oh, I know. Probably cause one of your hoes let me do something to her. Wasn't fucking, we was hustling. Probably moved something through her or something. Had to pick up a package or something. Tone it down, champ. You act like you acting or something. Yeah, I'm relaxing the function. Everyone you ever see me in. Private shit, far away from where the weenies is. Mom's trip, I used to go to cousin Beanie crib. Getting texts about the wild shit my sister Nene did. Darn that, 21-0. Hit the back house, dice game, shoot the hundo. Girl you call wife, goddamn, that's a fun hoe. You wouldn't believe what she did for them bundles. Good in the peas, the seeds to the jungles. Oh my mama, oh God, you ass around. Like, I just don't be chapping, you know what I'm saying? These niggas be just chapping in these raps. I don't just be chapping in these raps, bro. Like, there's too much chapping going on, you know what I'm saying?
Whoa, bop, blow her back out. Whoa, bop, blow her back out.
The views shared on this program are not necessarily the views of DBN, its sponsors, or affiliates. DBN nor the Logic Based Collective can be held responsible for anything taken personal when you could have just changed the station to begin with. If you're offended by world-class conversation that will move you to better yourself, you should leave while you have the chance. We're pros, but we're not like pros. In the event that you'd like to sue, we have no money, but if you drop your job's number in the comments, we will call them and let them know that you'll be out on an all-expense-paid vacation into your feelings.
Neato gang. How's everybody doing?
Peasants.
This is the Logic Based Collective. We are on. We're here. We're live. We're doing it. We are back. Not all of us are here, but we are back for another episode. Nonetheless, definitely miss the guys that are on, that are out. Shout out KJ. Shout out Ryan.
Hey.
Hope to get back with y'all very, very soon. But nevertheless, it is Monday, and Monday means
You know it.
yeah. So let's start around the room. She doesn't want to hear the word chivalry, but it's coming.
Here we go.
So she gets to. How is your weekend? How has your week been?
Let me think. I can't say productive because I feel like if it were, I'd remember. Was it? I can't remember what my weekend was like. I know, again, I went to church on Sunday, and we had a time.
Oh, yes.
We had a really good time. I had a time. So much so that I don't remember how long the nap was, but the nap after service, and my gosh, much needed. I went all out during service, and it was great. Um, just enjoying life as best as I can, transitioning into wherever I'm going right now. I feel it. I welcome it. So I'm preparing, I guess, in a sense, just really welcoming what's to come, the new and all that. So I'm here.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Definitely. So we're thankful for your good weekend. AJ, I know that you preached this past weekend, right?
I did. Oh, you heard?
So what was?
Is everybody just hearing?
What was the subject, Minister Brown?
So yesterday was it was a youth service at More Than Conquerors, and I had the letter H. So everybody had a letter. I had H, and I used "Here I Am, Send Me" from Isaiah, and just talking about basically all the stuff that was going on in Israel and how the people they're going through the motions like we do today. Like it's not anything far-fetched. Like I think a lot of times we look at the Bible like it's so far away, so far removed. Like that was thousands of years ago. That doesn't apply. Actually, most of the stuff does apply. The same dysfunction, the same disobedience, the same pride, the same jealousy. Like all those things that plague them still plague us today. And basically, it was the culmination of it all was as Isaiah seeing this vision of who God's people have come to be, and these are his friends, his family, the people he knows, that he realizes that he's also one of those people. And then he begins to repent and says, I'm not even worthy to look at God. Because, like, he's in the presence of God in the moment in the vision. So he's like, I'm not even worthy to look at you. Like, because I'm one of these people that you're talking about. And then that's when God forgives him. Yep, me too. Me too. And that's when God forgives him. And then in the moment when God is saying, listen, I've forgiven you, so like now you're free and clear. But he asks, who will I send to save the rest of them? And Isaiah says, send me, I'll go. This is 26-year-old Isaiah. I had an epiphany earlier today. Like, we look at youth as in like the children, but like biblical times, they lived to be like 1,000 years old. Like, it was something crazy. Like, yo, what was it? I think it was Noah or Moses that lived to be mad old, like, or Abraham, 900 something. Like,
I'm Methuselah, bro.
yeah, like, he's mad. So, like, I now look at youth like, okay, maybe I am still youth. Compared to 900, yeah, I got a little bit to go. But yeah, aside from that, it was good. The week before I preached, being good isn't good enough. And I was talking, I do this a little bit. But basically just talking about the correlation of understanding like what good is without having a connection to God. Like, it's just all for nothing. Like, I preached off of, that was 2 weeks ago. What did I preach off of? I preached about the person that was, he asked, it was the rich man that came and said, what must I do to gain eternal life? And he was like, I followed all the 10 commandments since I was a youth. I've never killed somebody. I've never stolen. I've never done all these things. And then basically the point was, even though Jesus died for our sins, there was still a sacrifice that needed to be made in order to have the eternal life that you wanted. And his was, all right, sell everything you own, like, and follow me. Like, all right, cool. You did everything else? Cool. Sell everything you own, follow me. And that was something that he couldn't part with. And the truth of the matter is sometimes the sacrifice isn't necessarily something that we want to give up. Right. Like, sometimes it's sacrificing a loved one, because not that you're bad to get, not that there's anything wrong with you guys, but when you guys come together, there's no good fruit that comes out of it. There's no profit that comes from it. Like, it's just negative things. You guys take away from either each other or you take away from others when you come together, which is what we would call today a toxic relationship. So it's not necessarily that you guys are bad, but you're bad for each other. And basically just talking about that, like, sometimes you got to sacrifice something. It may not be something that you're cool with sacrificing.
Right.
So,
Got it.
I'll preach a little bit.
Amen, preacher.
A little bit.
Take the gain down a little bit.
I got you.
Get that little ringing. That's so we can see that AJ is full of the word. That's why we encourage you to go to spreadtheword.store and spreadthegoodword.com.
You know it.
To get your daily dose, and then your apparel,
Right.
Christian based apparel with the word of the Lord on there. You can't copyright that.
Absolutely. I looked it up. You can't.
Right.
It has been public record for far too long.
Bible was a group project. Yo, Terrell, man, how you doing, man? It's been a minute.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm good, man. I had a pleasantly uneventful weekend. Didn't really be as productive as I would like to be, but I still enjoyed myself all the while. Caught a fire nap as well. Yeah. Appreciating those more and more. But yeah, I'm blessed. Family's good. I'm good.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Man rolled up to the church house.
Hey.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. You know when you see like when you're like you see somebody come to church and then like somebody like your people and then like the preacher start like
They point them out.
They start prophesying to them,
Woo.
but they be saying the stuff that you know.
It's
like but you know that they know that nobody else knew. And so you're like, oh,
That moment it applies.
Yes.
And it applies, and you can't even make the face like don't nobody know except for you. Like, yo, he talking about your situation. That's you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's wow.
that was dope.
Yeah, that was definitely a new experience for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is
Fire though.
definitely an experience, but it's definitely dope. Like it's interesting. Like just when you go to a church and somebody random shows up and then tells you about your life and they're spot on. Like,
You know what was the wild experience for me was that I'm a person who always says closed mouths don't get fed.
Yep.
And in my subconscious, I was like, oh man, he's like really going around the room. I was like, man, I wish the Lord would just say something to me just so I know where I'm at. And the next thing he was like, you. I was like, oh my God. Won't he do it? Yeah.
yo, that's dope.
Because I say that all the time. Like, yo, listen, man, closed mouths don't get fed. If you want something, you better ask for it.
That's
Right.
That's right.
Wasn't expecting the quick turnaround on the.
Listen, he said it was already done before he even thought about it. Yep,
Right.
you.
Facts.
That was dope.
Yeah,
It was the
yeah.
service
sounds
was,
dope.
The service was crazy.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
He was I'm
You-
sorry, like
Go ahead.
He was driving right down my street. Then he backed up,
yo.
stopped in front of the crib, and was
Right.
like, "Come on out."
And I felt the same way. That was his first time speaking at our church, and I mean, like people were just like, like it was definitely an experience.
for sure.
Hit home for a lot of people. So many conversations after church, like, "Girl, did you hear what he said?" It's like, "Yeah." So it was a lot of that, and it was just really, really good. So, yeah. That's like 10 weeks in a row. Listen, we on a streak right now over
Yeah.
at Deliverance, so
Yeah.
y'all might as well go.
If you don't
through.
know, you
I'm
better
just
get over
saying.
there. You better give them the address so people know where to go.
336 Springfield Street, Springfield, Massachusetts, right over the street from Bay State Medical Center, the emergency room side. Come on through.
Yeah.
Okay.
What she
Me
said.
first said he was dope.
Yeah. That's my Reese.
First Lady
Yeah.
Morgan, right?
Yep.
Yeah, First Lady Morgan.
Oh, First Lady Morgan was with me last night.
Yeah. See all of this word in the room.
Yeah.
How are you, my brother?
Well, I guess that would put it on me.
Yeah.
Oh, we shall not forget. It's been a little bit since I've been here. It's been kind of a up and down time for me. Um, not saying it to be in a down way, but it's not. I'm not fantastic. But it's not necessarily a bad thing. Um, because I'm able to be here, to be in the room with you all, and that's something that's important to me. That means a lot. Not really doing great. We had a men's group um, before we hopped on. That's why we weren't around to be able to do a little more pre-production. We kind of ran over in the group. There's a lot of good things. A lot of good things were said. A lot of good things were done. To answer the question, the weekend was sort of a blur. Kind of went by. It was. I mean, I know it was good. It was low key. Church was fire. But like what's crazy is coming out of a service. Coming out of a service like that, because sometimes you might feel like you don't really have nowhere left to go. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you up here,
Yeah.
but it's like, yo, the reality is, well, for me, like going home and not, you know what I'm saying, like not necessarily being on that high after everything is done. You in the room, you got like all of this victory, all the, you know what I'm saying, like all of this word. All the, you know what I'm saying, like this spirit-filled service, and then kind of going about your day and feeling, you know what I mean, like, and not being up in the clouds, not really being in what they call the mashunda. You know what I'm saying, like
That's a real place, y'all.
It's like,
Is it?
just
It's a
really,
real
yeah.
place.
And you know what I mean, like it would just kind of just allowing the Lord to work even when it don't necessarily feel like it's working. It's not not necessarily the feeling that you're looking for. But a good thing nonetheless. I actually because we have a pretty good topic, and I'm gonna let somebody else broach that topic. But before they do that, this is a pretty difficult time of the year for me. But it's good when I was saying, like being able to be here, being able to be in the room. Of course, what I'm saying, we wish that Kay and Ryan were here. But since you guys are here, I would just tell you all. It's important to be able to have friends or people who bring in some type of value to your life, to be able to pray when you need them, to be able to like help you just with regular life things, and like I said, the spiritual aspect is nothing really more valuable than to be able to have those people, and not necessarily like just for the show. I know that we talk mainly on, like, we talk a lot on the show, and not, not the topics necessarily to like keep, like to not be repetitive, but everybody that comes together to make it what it is. Definitely appreciative of what it is that's happening, and the work that everybody does, and to be able to come in at a time not feeling that great, but not regretful that I'm here. So I want to give you all your flowers. Just say thanks and appreciation. And I wish KJ was here. But if he's listening, which he probably is,
He's usually
or
listening.
he will at
Hi,
some
Kane.
point. We just want to say
He gonna
what's
pop in
good.
at some point.
Bro, I wanted to say that definitely appreciate you, your ideas, the work that you put in, um like the friendship, the brotherhood, everything, um the the wisdom, even the things that I don't want to hear, but have to consider because I know where it's coming from. Yeah, I appreciate you, Ryan. Again, somebody to, if I don't know if you guys have when you hear Ryan on the show, this guy's like she's like that one Sesame Street character that you wish was there every week, but it's not like it's like you know what I mean, like always like dropping some pretty good gems. Ryan's the type of guy that makes you want to be a better man just from hearing the things that he says and being around him. Even though he's not the oldest cat, he has an old soul in terms of his wisdom, the things that he says. It definitely brings value. AJ, like you don't have to be here and do like all of the extra things that you do, man. You got a whole family and comes here, gets here a lot of times before everybody, and is setting up and then like doing like extra stuff on the side and just a lot of things that everybody can't do and then everybody won't do.
Right.
And just want to say that you are definitely appreciated. Thank you, because like we're family, but thank you for being a friend,
Of course.
someone like a trusted partner. And
Good start singing it.
everything, the Golden Girls theme, all of that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Which you know what I'm saying? Thank you.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like it's a labor of love, but it is a labor to do what it is that we do. Terrell, man, like I don't even know how to go into it in a lot of ways. Like you saved my life, and from where we were working, from the places that we were at then to where we are, where we're going to now. Like I couldn't have been on the same path unless the Lord put you in mine. And so like I just want to say thank you. This podcast was birthed out of our conversations. You know what I mean? Like and you challenging me to go places that I wasn't necessarily comfortable going, but you did, and I did. I listened, and even though you're the youngest in your family, like you're a big brother to me. So, just want to say I love you, man, and appreciate you,
man.
Appreciate you, and of course, Siobhan. It's I have a propensity to get on people's nerves. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I definitely take some joy in getting on nerves, but like all of the things that you do, even the things that that people don't know. I don't know if you guys saw. When I hit 500 subscribers, which I'm above that now, I'll talk about that some other time. We're moving up, but when we did, we did that, and she
The slow
helped
burn continues.
to be able to put all of that stuff together, to be able to like do the things that nobody else thinks about because we're men. To do, you know what I'm saying? Like, but to care, even like on a spiritual level, probably never had a friend to be able to help to steer me in a direction that the Lord is leading, and not having to do with any selfish ambitions, and not doing it for something for themselves, but really just because this is what you believe that the Lord told you that you should do. And so, of course, we thank God, but thank you for your obedience to that part, and then not only that, because there's so much that you do to bring value, not just to the pod, but just on a personal level to my life. I just want for you to know too, I really love you.
Love you too, bro.
More than I can say. So, with that, I'm ready to go home. But we're gonna talk.
You over here trying to make us cry before the
I know,
show?
I'm like,
You gonna get all this sentiment and emotion in the room?
Right.
Like, we got work to do, bro.
Listen,
But
I am a thug.
let's not. Let's not. Nah.
These thug tears.
Oh God.
but
Nah, man, but I appreciate it, man. We don't oftentimes spend time around people that will give us our flowers while we're living. We see so many people at funerals that want to jump in the casket, but I got people around me that want to show me love while I'm here to appreciate it and enjoy it. So I appreciate you, and I thank you for being who you are, because you allow me to be who I am, unapologetically. And I'm a handful myself, so you already know. You already know.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. Monday is my favorite day of the week. So, so like part of that is because you offered me to come, or you gave me the invitation to come, and you told me I could stay, which was even bigger. I'm like, oh, I could stay. Feeling wanted is great.
Good.
So no, I appreciate you. I appreciate all the stuff you do. I'm still waiting for that album. I'm not gonna let it go. Even though you say you're retired, and I understand you got a lot of stuff going on, but I'm gonna still hold out hope. But yeah, no, I appreciate you. I appreciate the podcast. I appreciate all the things that you're doing and all the things that you also encourage me to do. Because it's not just one-sided. This is a family thing.
Right.
100%.
Amen. I'm not gonna do it.
Cause you gonna cry?
I'm gonna cry.
Yep. Do it. Now I want to see it.
No. But I am, super appreciative of the relationships that I've been able to gain from just becoming friends with AJ and being able to meet you guys and work with you all. The push that I get from him, it's truly, it's a gift that I didn't know I needed. I've had ideas that have sat dormant in my head for a very long time,
Me
and then
too.
I met AJ, and it's like, woo! Everything just starts to flow. So I appreciate that dynamic. And honestly, because you are so stubborn and hard-headed, I feel like you cultivate my gift in a very interesting way.
It is needed though.
So anytime God gives me something to get you back in line, I'm gonna tell you about it. So thank you.
yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah.
I enjoy getting on your nerves. But it's just because I love you. Not just with a fraction of my heart, with all of my heart, I love you. We wanna hop on the good foot. Like I said, I'm ready to go home, but it's all good. I'm with the subjects. We got the art of choosing. What shapes our decision making?
She said, give yourself a round of applause for all the love. That means God's in the room because God is love.
Amen.
Respect to that.
So just to preface the subject matter, and I'm gonna give you guys a little bit behind the scenes about how we select these topics.
Ooh.
It's okay.
Spilling tea.
We're not really good at topic selection. So I was gonna put that out there, and I'm gonna say anything that you guys want to talk about, please write to us. Leave some comments because we have a hard time getting to this point.
Yes.
Just being honest, we have a difficult time. I mean, there's a lot of things we would like to talk about, but I think I don't know how we get to the point where it's just like we go from 100 topics to 0. So, but
We talk about a lot of stuff.
we do when these cameras are off. What?
Of course.
But election day is tomorrow. That's kind of where I started thinking. I'm like, oh, we're about to vote. We're about to make some pretty serious choices in the coming days. So I just started to think, how do we get to that point where we're choosing what we're choosing, and why are we choosing? Why are we making these decisions? Like, what leads us to that? Because I used to be an any, mini, miny, mo type. I didn't care until like life started happening based on the decisions I was making, and then I was like, ooh, I should probably pay more attention. And so that's kind of where the question stemmed from. But again, I am not going to start this conversation. I'm going to throw that at you, AJ. I know how you like to get down.
Okay. Chivalry was a thing until 2 seconds ago. All right. The art of choosing what shapes our decision making. So, for me, I think a lot of it is really based off of our experiences, and how for me, it's based off of my experiences and how I have handled things in the past. It's also based off of like what knowledge I have today. So like my wife is a big proponent of, if I was wrong yesterday, it doesn't mean I have to be wrong today. So like basically understanding like I am a person who is living and I am continuously learning. So I can make the right choice even if I made the wrong choice 2 seconds ago. Like I can double back and be like, all right, cool, my bad, I messed up. Let's go back. It doesn't work in chess, but understanding how I make decisions helps, and then also understanding why I'm choosing what I'm choosing, and also getting to a place where I stand on. Like, cause some decisions I stand on. Like being a Christian, stand on it, 100%, 10 toes down. Anybody asks, I will tell you, I'm a Christian. With a smile on my face. But there's other decisions like that I think about and I ponder and I wonder and I try to figure out like, all right, is this the best decision? Like my goal is to buy a house by the end of this year. If you haven't noticed, it's November. But that was my goal. So I'm like, all right, do I just step out on faith, just go get it? Like, is it just mine? Or do I wait? Do I have to think that my timing isn't God's timing? Is it more important for me to get a house or for me to do other things? Like, basically, there's more weight to the decision, so there's a little bit more of a careful thought process. But also, because I think a lot, I also understand that I will get to a place where I just don't make a decision. I'll just keep thinking about it.
Yes.
So
that's a real place too.
yeah. So what I try to do is I try to basically take the experiences that I've gathered and then use them to my advantage. If we're going from a biblical aspect, when I bought this car that I have, I didn't buy it, but I financed it. But I was scared to do it at first because I'm like, yo, what if I lose my job? What if something happens? What if they repossess it? Like, oh my gosh. Like, because that was my fear. But I still have it. So I think for me, it's just an exercise of faith, and I just have to kind of just do it.
Right.
Yeah, that's dope. I think for me, it comes down to, it's situational, right? Like, not every decision needs to be an effort in critical thinking, but I do believe that critical thinking is important. There's the right now kind of situation. There's the 3-year plan, the 5-year plan, and the 10-year plan. Not all of those need the same degree of introspection, right? When I picked out my outfit, it took me 10 minutes. You know what I mean? I'm not going to overthink that. But buying a house, buying a car, how I'm going to put my children through school, the person I choose to spend my life with, all of those things that I'm going to put a little bit more critical thinking into, because those are major life decisions.
Yeah.
Right? So we got to put a little bit more time in that. But I also agree with what AJ was saying as far as like your life experience, right? If we grew up in a broken home, we might want to make the effort to stay in even a toxic relationship just on the basis of the fact that I grew up lacking what I felt like I needed. So I might not make the best critical decision for myself, which might be to, make sure that the child's parents are happy so that we can give them the best life, not to keep them in a household where there's a lot of tension and can, you know what I mean, a lot of infighting, because that's not really what's best for your child, right? So there's a lot of depth and critical thinking that goes into some of those things, but it really is situational on what type of decision is being made.
Yeah. Like I had mentioned before, I kind of was just kind of like free for all with the decision making. Like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and all right. And I don't. Again, when life started life, and it came to a point where it was just like, oh, there's consequences. There's a cause and effect to what I'm saying I'm going to do, and I didn't. It took my later 20s. Actually, all of my 20s were just a horrendous cause and effect, a chain reaction of like, oh, you made the wrong decision. And when those things started happening, I'm just like, all right, I want to do better. I need to do better. I don't want to find myself in situations where I can't afford certain things, or I'm not able to go certain places or whatever. At the time, it was more like financial and like just not making silly decisions, but not really thinking too far down the line, or like, counting up the cost, as we would say. And it got to the point where I actually began to doubt my decision-making skills so much that I didn't. And I would start to just allow the situation to unfold and have the decision made for me. Because I didn't trust myself, because I had sucked at decision making so much. I was just like, well, I'm just gonna let the cards lie where they may. And again, that just kind of led to other people basically making the decisions for my life for me, which wasn't panning out either. So I think that's when I started to like really build a relationship with God, and it was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, because everything that I'm doing really, look at where I'm at. And while I don't think just building that relationship changed everything about me, it started to help me make better decisions, like help me like, all right, this is the thing that you want to do with your life. This is the direction you want to go in. What are you going to do now to help you get there? You have to cut this person off in order to get here, or, things like that. And I would still not necessarily do the right thing. And what is that scripture, Romans 8:28? All things work, what is it?
All things work together for them that love the Lord.
You are
Grateful.
called according to his purpose.
Okay, I am grateful that is a thing, because again, although I was making poor choices, I'm here now, and I can say that a lot of the things that I didn't do well have still led me to like great things, to great people, to financial freedom, and just being in a better place, a better position. And I'm grateful to God for that. But I also know that he's working on me and trusting me to do better with the things that he's giving me. So that's a work in progress, I really believe. Like, we're never going to get it 100% correct. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not going to be perfect with these things. But in, reading the word and, like, really praying and things like that, giving God your life, essentially, it'll lend to those better decision-making skills, I believe. That's where I'm at.
Nah,
you know what I'm saying?
I agree. Well, it's a journey.
Yeah.
So it's one of those questions like where they ask like, all right, if you had a time machine and you can go back and fix your mistakes, would you? But like, I was a huge proponent of, not a huge proponent, but basically I grew up where one of the popular movies that came out was Butterfly Effect, Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
So it's actually one of my favorite movies where Ashton Kutcher isn't Kelso. Like, but in the movie, it shows how like all those changes would change everything.
Yeah.
Like, and it makes you think about it. Like, all right, so if I change this one thing, even though like I'm changing it to better myself, like it could make me worse down the road. It could make me it could change somebody else's
Right.
like appearance that I don't even recognize as being affected by this situation. Like, there's so many things that go into it that it's like, all right, God knows all, and God, through Scripture, because we biblical today, so but through Scripture it says that He desires to give us a future and a hope and expected end. Like, if we know that He desires to give us an expected end, and He knows everything. If we call Him Alpha and Omega, we say He's the beginning and the end.
Yeah.
He knows all these things, and He knows the in between part. He doesn't tell us the in between part, but He knows it. Shouldn't that give us comfort that even though we're going through something that seems endless to us, that He already worked it out for our good? Like, it's an exercise in faith.
It is very much an exercise in faith. Before I answer the question, I wanted to speak directly to what you were saying in terms of having, because we hear expected end, but it's like, but you forget to ask the question, whose expectation?
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because the things that I expect may not necessarily be the things that the Lord wants me to have.
True.
And so we keep going back to that message yesterday, talking about how that we have our own blueprint, but like our blueprint is flawed, and it, you know what I mean? Like,
correct.
But it doesn't mean that it's not disappointing when, you know what I'm saying? Like, when in the beginning, when you're not necessarily going the direction that you thought that you were going to go, or doing like the stuff that you're going to do. I think also to, like, if you could, going back and changing something in terms of like the butterfly effect. I know that there, you know what I mean, like sometimes even though it would change one, like one change might change everything.
Right.
I've often wondered if having that change would have been the best for everybody.
Right.
Just wanting to, you know what I'm saying? Like, not, so even if it's not like the desired outcome in terms of like, like so many, like it would change like for so many people, like, you know what I mean? If I want to change that one thing, would it actually help others? Would it,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And we're not getting ready to do like, like live for revisionist history, but you know what I mean? Like I think about that at times. It's like, what would you do in those situations if you could change those decisions? Like, so we'll never know, but you know what I mean? Like, but just, because now I think about the way that it would affect others in the decisions that I made that affected others that I didn't realize it would before,
Right.
before I made it. Go ahead.
Well, the truth of the matter is, because we think of it from a selfish outlook to begin with.
Yeah.
So like, and that's the whole premise of the movie. So watching the butterfly effect, I don't want to spoiler alert. I mean, it's from the 2000s.
I was about to say, if you haven't seen it by now,
It's okay. I think we're good.
But so like, the premise of the movie is he's trying to end up with this girl, and everything he does to basically like to take the pain away from her, because like her brother was abusive. She found out, then he finds out her father was actually the abusive one, and that's why her brother was abusive. And then he tries to change the brother, and he tries to do all these things, and in the end he realizes that all of her problems started when he got there. Which was tough because he loves her and she loves him. Yeah. Like, and it's like, yo, but I don't want to not be with her. And then he's like, oh, yo, the moment that I arrived, your life went downhill. Yeah. And like, that's a tough pill to swallow. Like, especially like if you're like, yo, I feel like this is the person I'm supposed to be with. Yeah. I'm meant to be with. Like, and he changes everything. At one point he gets her, and then all of a sudden I think her brother dies, and then she's depressed. And then, like, there's a bunch of stuff, or, like, her father dies. Like, it's all this types of stuff. Like, it just goes horribly wrong. But the point of the matter is, like, all right, because our view is from a selfish standpoint, we don't necessarily always look at how it affects others. And that's just the truth of the matter. We look at how it affects us first because I was affected first, to me. So, like, I look at it from, I talked about it at Bible study last week. My grandfather, when I was in my 20s, this is before I was saved, I had a lot of stuff going on. My grandfather called me. Anytime my grandfather called, I went and did what he needed to do, take care of him, make sure he was all set. So my grandfather called me. I forgot what it was about. He probably was asking about his car, to bring him to get his car fixed. So I said yes, okay. But he didn't know technology. So I'm also not the type of person who hangs up first. So he clicked over and went back to having a conversation and then started talking about me to the other person. But I'm still on the phone. He doesn't know I'm on the phone. So he's having this conversation and like what he said stung. Like it hurt. And I'm like, I'm still on the phone and I know he doesn't intend for me to hear this because I'm not supposed to be on the phone right now. And I know who my grandfather is. But I was upset initially. Like the initial thing was I was upset. And then the second thing I was thinking about, I was like, wait a minute. Like I have to go and take an inventory. Who is my grandfather to me? What do I know him for? What do I know him as?
Yeah.
Then I was like, after I took an inventory of that, I was like, well, is what he's saying true? And that's what changed my look about it. Like, all right, cool. Instead of me feeling offended because I heard something that I wasn't, or I felt like I wasn't supposed to hear, God knew I was supposed to hear it. Like, that's why he allowed it to happen. So, but it caused me to change some things about me because I heard it. Like, but the initial thing was, I'm not doing nothing he says. I'm not like, because I was selfish. Like I'm thinking about me and you've hurt my feelings, this and the other. But at the same time, like I had to take an inventory. Like who is my if I called my grandfather at 2:00 in the morning, he would get up out his bed and then go see what I needed, and he would take care of whatever I need. Like 2:00 in the morning, my he was 70 something years old. He had no business being up at 2:00 in the morning. So like understanding how this dynamic works has caused me, and because of this, it has caused me to look at things differently. So it's caused me to slow down and then try not to take my initial reaction as the reaction. Because my initial reaction is always going to be about me. Like it's going to be, oh, I'm offended. Like if somebody gives you criticism, not necessarily constructive criticism, or they feel they're giving constructive criticism, but it comes off as criticism. Hate, right. That's the initial feeling. Hate. Oh, you just don't want me to be great. Oh, you're just a hater. Like, and this is the initial feeling. But sometimes if you stop and listen to what they're saying and then you ask yourself, is there any truth to it? You can pull out some good gems out of it. Even though it doesn't feel good, like it could be beneficial.
Yeah. I think that's when my life started to change and I realized that I was maturing. Whenever I became emotional about what other people were saying to me, and I don't find myself being an over-emotional person, but sometimes it's like you say, some people say some things to you and it stings.
Right.
For me, in those moments, I become very curious. Right? Like, why am I taking what he says so personally? You know what I'm saying? I start there, and is there any value in what he's saying?
Right.
You know what I mean? What have I done to give this person that opinion of me, right? So these are all questions that I ask to make myself better, right? Because saying that somebody's a hater makes me feel better, but does it make me a better person?
Correct.
Right? So like as I started to develop and to mature more, I started to take that as like a personal way to inventory and check my own stuff, right? Because emotions are fleeting, right? I can be happy, sad, I can be all of these things in a day, right? But when I'm feeling some sort of way, and it only really happens with people that I value.
Correct.
Right?
Because
those are the people who really sting you and hurt you the most. If I don't care about you, your opinion doesn't really matter to me, right?
That's what I was gonna say,
I value my opinion of myself way more than anybody else. But if it's someone that I value, I have to take that self-inventory. And I always find that if I'm starting to become placed in like an emotional state of mind, that being curious and asking questions has really given me some real value that has made me a better person.
Yeah, I think it's what you were saying. Like it's more so when it's people that's close to you, whose opinions you value, who be like, I even probably definitely like today I care too much about the too much about some of the things that because it's like it's people that's close to you. What they're saying is rooted in more information than anybody else. That you know what I mean? Like so, it's gonna cut deeper. But you do have to, think about it and why people are thinking in that way. In terms of like decision, like what in terms of like what shapes our decision making for me is I would say I have had a horrible run of decision making throughout my adult years. I have made some good decisions, I'm sure, and like in some places, but I think because um, some of the ones that I have made are so bad. Like those are like the glaring things that I think about when we're talking about like decision making and what shapes it. What I really allowed to shape my decision making was the things that made sense to me. And of course, if you're just listening to that, like there's nothing wrong with that. But the thing is, as a Christian, like that's not what it is that we do. Where it says to not lean on our own understanding.
Correct.
And I'm somebody who is always leaning on the things that I can understand. So I have a need to understand and a need to be understood.
I agree with that.
Is but it's
I agree with
it's you know what I mean, like, but it becomes it can become a flaw when it's like when that's what you're leaning on. It's not, you know what I mean, like there's value in what in what the opinion of others or what others I say in terms of your decision making, but it says that the Lord is the Lord who orders our steps. And so I can't depend on other people to do that. And I think right now, from being just fully transparent, like when we don't always know what it is that the Lord wants to do.
Correct.
We don't always know, and I'm talking about in terms of decisions, like decisions in our lives. And it's like, the Lord has plans to prosper you, to give you an expected end. And a lot of times we interpret that as He wants to give us all of the things that we want. But the thing is, we don't know what things that we want that may destroy us, or something that He wants to give us better than that, or so you know what I mean, like, or so many reasons. Not to say that you're not that everything that the Lord wants the exact opposite of the things that you want for your life, but it can feel a little like that at times if your mind is sort of just sort of contrary, I guess. I don't want for lack of a better words, it's like and so like the decision making you know what I mean? Like I don't want to be cliche and be like, oh, we got to lean on the Lord. Yeah. I want to say that like, nah, like now, like at this point in my life, I can see the value in leaning on the Lord, allowing the Lord to sway your direction, like to actually guide you. Like He said He would, and so many points in His Word. He said that He would guide us with His eye. He said that He would order our steps. He said, you know what I mean? Like there's so many times where where He said that He would do that. I think that for us, for me, it's just being able to know what it is that looks like, because even something can look like it's fault, like this is just falling into place this way, and you know what I mean, and it don't really be the thing. Is right. That, you know what I'm saying? Like that's what because honestly, if you got 3 roads and they're leading to the same place, you're gonna take the easiest road. Right. Like nobody wants to hit divots. You know what I mean? Like nobody wants to hit those bumps and like the speed bumps. Nobody wants to have to drive a long distance. But the reality is that like we don't. If we can't say that, we can't choose. We can't say like, well, I'm choosing this, and I'm also allowing the Lord to lead me in the same. You know what I mean? Like if you're not having that. If you're not having that direction, the thing is, we just hear about that, but don't necessarily always know what it looks like. Yeah. And saying, you know what I mean, like because we have I was saying before, like we got the wait on God, we got the let go and let God, we got the like He's let Him order your footsteps, but then but how is it that you do that? What if you know what I'm saying? Like what in the meantime, if you are a person that prays and you are a person that reads the Word and you are looking for direction. Like, well, okay, so what do I do until you know what I'm saying? Like, it's because you can't.
Nah, I get
It's because kind of like an oxymoron because you can say let go and let God, but also faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you're trying to make a wise decision out of a word that we're trying to apply to our lives. But how do you do that? And I'm not sitting here as the expert, right? I'm saying like, yo, this is what I get caught up in terms of
Decision making.
Like, like what is it? Because the Lord, another thing that he was saying, Jesus, shout out Tori Phillips.
Yeah.
You know what he was saying yesterday was that we be looking for the Lord to speak to us or to do things the way that He did them before, and there's so many different ways that He can move.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, He did this last time, so I'm gonna go. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's what I'm
looking. I'm
expecting
looking
now.
for that last time blessing because I know that you can do it that way. But there's so many different ways, and there's so many different reasons that He does. You know that He does that for. We can't just get stuck in a way, but
So
but
First
we're
Lady-
so getting more comfortable in being uncomfortable. Go ahead.
So First Lady Morgan said, "That's what makes faith so hard, not knowing, even though we know that's what pleases Him."
Yeah. Without faith, it's impossible to please God. It's like,
Right.
well, bro, what do you want me to do? Like, like I need you. Like,
That's what
man.
I said on. I said that yesterday. So I'm like, a lot of times, what we'll do is we will stop God from positioning ourselves in safety and in the place of growth to position ourselves in the line of fire, because we don't like the way because our understanding is off, because we don't. Our thoughts are not His thoughts, neither
Right.
are our ways His ways.
Yeah.
So like the things that make sense to us doesn't necessarily equate to being the right thing. But like if we honestly took an inventory, we could say, listen, anytime I try to do it myself, I mess it up. That's just the truth of the matter.
Right.
Like
Me.
It's like anytime I try to do it myself, I mess it up. Like I'm not, because the truth of the matter is I'm not going to be able to account for everything, because my brain is finite. Like there's only so many things that I can stick in here that are gonna stick, that I can call on when I need to.
Yeah.
However, God is all knowing and He has all this information. So a lot of times what He'll do is He'll give us a direction that doesn't make sense to us. And that's the tough part. Like when God gives us a direction, take a left right here, but I'm going straight home. My house is in front of me. I can see it. Like take a left right here.
Yo,
Like,
with that being said, listen, the will of the Lord is incredibly frustrating to the logical thinker.
yes.
And that, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that therein is where I have so many, end up having so many issues, because I'm like, yo, this is what makes sense. Where it's like, yo, but I just said I was gonna do this thing. I never said it was gonna make sense to me at the time.
Right,
like, you know,
right. And
Yeah,
like
I think for me, like I'm in a growth space in my faith, right? Like I really feel like I'm trying to allow myself to stretch and grow and learn, but I also know that God gave us free will and choice and understanding, right? So I think that when I was thinking about what the prophet was saying in church, like he gives us free will, so I think that's why he blesses us in so many different types of ways, right? Because he gives us the ability to do what we want and what we desire. So I may have a desire to go straight, so I'm going to move straight. Not that that's a bad move, but that's what I want to do. But if he's charting my path, he might put a detour sign in the road. Not that I'm traveling down the wrong road, but he's going to put an obstacle there where I have to take a detour because he knows that's not the right path for me.
Right.
Not that the path that I'm choosing is necessarily wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? So I can understand the scripture where it says, lead by faith, not by sight, but he also gives us the choice, right? So I don't think that he gave us the choice for no reason.
Yeah.
Right. I think he wants us to chart our own path or draw our own blueprint. But I think that if you really know the building process, you can build and put together a blueprint. But you've got to have somebody else check your blueprint to see if it makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So through each one of these processes, you got to pull permits, right? So like God is the electrician or the engineer or the person who I have to check in with, and I have to keep my prayers up, and I have to continue to, as I finish my foundation. Is my foundation secure? Is it safe? Is it the right place? Okay, I got a check plus for my foundation. Now I can move forward with my plan. But when I get to the next step, when I touch base with my engineer or my foreman or whatever the case is, he's gonna be like, oh, we can't put this window here. You know what I mean? We gotta have enough joist. We don't have enough stabilization here. We've got to do something here. So that's kind of how I look at it. My perspective may be different, but you guys are on a different level than I am. But you know what I'm saying? In the stretch and growth, that's how I look at it. Because you gave me choice for a reason.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to give me choice, I'd give my life to you, and then it'd be like a video game, right? You do the right thing, and you get to the next level.
So what I mean is, and then you gotta So I'm talking about in terms like we talking about. Whoa, for me, because I'm seeing the decisions that I might have messed up was, you know what I mean, like major life changing events. Not that I don't want to, you know what I'm saying, like we want to be able to make this decision, but like for example, like it's like if I'm at my job, I don't like my job.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of times we'll just ask the Lord to give us another job, but we skip over asking him if that's where he wants us to be.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
And so like I'm saying, like with so many just like Ant-Man, right? The probability storm. It's like you know what I mean? Like and that's what I'm saying. Like for me, that's where I begin to get overwhelmed. Like I can make a decision, like, but the decisions that I make now is with a different sort of type of wisdom, because you know what I mean? Like because it's not just affecting me. Before I didn't really think about that. I don't want to say like I didn't care. It really just never entered my mind
never crossed
that
your
it was
mind,
going
yeah.
like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I would, if I could have done it all over again. What, you know what I mean? Like some people might say like, yo, I wouldn't have had this like as many children. Now, I would have definitely had all of them, but it just would have been with the same person. You know what I'm saying? Like that decision like affects them, and I didn't realize how much it did until I got older and was like, oh, well, this is why this is like this, and now I'm gonna have to navigate these type of ways. I don't regret. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't regret them. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like it would have been a better decision to have been, to have done that more responsibly. So you know what I'm saying? Like,
But
go ahead.
So I think we have. I think our concept is wrong. So the concept of right and wrong, because we like to look. My personal opinion: Jesus deals in the gray area. Jesus deals in the gray area. Like there's some things that are cut and dry, they're black and white, absolutely. But when Jesus came down, he came down and discussed the gray area. When they talked about healing on the Sabbath, they said, oh, you're not supposed to heal. You're not supposed to do any work on the Sabbath. That was black and white. And he said, well, if your donkey falls in a hole on the Sabbath, do you go and get it? And then they'll, yeah, yes, you do, because that is the right thing to do. So it's like a gray area type of thing. Also, when he was talking about, he talks about the woman at the well that was a prostitute. And they were like, oh, you should stone her. And he says, let he that's without sin cast the first stone.
Nobody could do that.
Right. Nobody except for Jesus could do that, because everybody else had made a mistake. And like that's the gray area. Like, all right, instead of it being the black and white, like God is discussing the gray area. Like, so I don't think our decisions are necessarily right or wrong. I think they're learning opportunities.
Yeah.
This is also stuff that they teach you at work. Like, all right, you don't say this is bad. You say this is a learning opportunity. Because if we look at them from a learning opportunity perspective, that means I have the ability to learn something that I didn't know before.
Yeah.
As opposed to saying, oh, because what happens is when we start to label it as wrong, we start to get this negative connotation about it. Then we start to shy away from it. Then we start to do these things to avoid it, because we have this negative outlook or this negative aspect about it. But if we look at it as a learning opportunity, now we look at it as a means of growth.
Yeah.
Like there's a way that I can build from this. Like I know what I need to do next time. Like if going back to the video game analogy, because I love video games, I'm sorry. But if I've played enough video games to know that I don't always beat them the first go round. Like I don't always beat the level the first time I do it. And sometimes I get really frustrated with that level. And then I'll go put that game down. Like, all right, let me go put this game down because this is frustrating me. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. And then later on, I'll come back with a clear head and be like, oh, all I was supposed to do is this. Yeah. And then it makes the most sense to me. So I think Jesus isn't necessarily telling us that we're making wrong decisions. What he's telling us is, all right, because of the decision you made, this is what I'm trying to teach you.
Yeah.
Like,
That makes sense. I like that.
And then
I like that.
you want to, and I'm just saying in terms of, because Amber was just saying in the comments, like seeking wise counsel is so important.
Yes,
as
it
a part
is.
of my decision making process. Like that's really, you know what I mean? Like, yo, it has to be because we're, you know what I mean? Like for, I don't want to be continuously in the place of, okay, I'm doing all of this stuff, God. Now I got
Right.
this big mess. Bless it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
you know
I've
what I
done
mean?
that
Like,
before.
and so I'm just saying, like, like I don't want to,
Yes.
like I don't want to continuously be in that place. And so we talking about being able to be led in the right direction. You know what I mean? Like it's just the wisdom to pray, the wisdom to ask, and you know what I mean. Like and to see ultimately, like you're the one that has to make the decision. Like unfortunately for me, and you know what I mean. Like when I was younger, I was really looking to, and I don't know if mad people would not admit this. I was really looking to like the older people or like the more seasoned saints to
Pull you to the side.
almost make my decision for me or tell me what it is that I was supposed to be doing as a young Christian. The thing is that the Lord wants you to have your own relationship with Him.
Correct.
And so you'll never be able to do that while you're leaning on somebody else. So while it's important for you to be able to have leadership, you have to be able to have your own relationship with the Lord, because then they'll be able to tell you the things that the Lord is telling you,
Right.
if that is indeed what it is that He's saying. And I, like for me, it's like, yo, bro, I got married because I thought that was what I was supposed to do. It's like, yo, we got, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, these things are happening and like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, boom, okay, this is what people do when they start getting older, start having kids. You know what I mean? Like, yo, you got.
It's the quote
like,
unquote right thing to do.
Right. You got to chill out and do, and be this, and be this person that you're not. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so
I'm just saying that we, you know what I mean? Like, so it's for us, like just learning. And I'm saying for me, being able to learn, I mean, learning from my own mistakes and not trying to fall into those same patterns is like, yo, I would love to be able to listen to your opinion and why you have that opinion. But ultimately, like I have to, like the Lord has to also be
Correct.
leading me in that direction. Yeah. So maybe where 20 years ago, somebody would have been like, hey, you need to settle down and da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be like, yeah.
But that's not always.
Let me, Salah, let me rest and think on that.
He said Salah.
Okay.
But no, like I think the important part about it is like, because this is what I tell people now. I tell people now, you have to make decisions for yourself, because like I have made those decisions based off of what other people have said, and ended up putting myself in a bad relationship, or not bad relationship, but a bad situation.
Yeah.
So like, I told my younger brothers, against my father's will. So my younger brother was in high school. He was about to graduate, and I'm like, yo, what are you thinking about doing? He's like, I don't know yet. He was like, Dad's telling me to go to college. I'm like, well, do you want to go to college? He was like, I can go. I don't really want to go. I'm like, don't go. So I'm like, you have to do what's best for you. I'm like, college is a bill. Like, nobody's going to tell you this, but the truth of the matter is college is a bill. I'm like, and the moment you go to college, if you don't really know what you want to do, what you're going to do is you're going to squander the opportunity. Like, what I did, like, I'm going to tell you what I did. I messed up my financial aid because I went to college because they told me that's what you're supposed to do. So I did what I was supposed to do. But I wasn't ready. Me personally, wasn't ready for college.
Yeah.
And I knew I wasn't ready. But I didn't know initially. At first, I was thinking I can make it.
Yeah.
I make it work because I make high school work. Not realizing the little things like, all right, I could get up for 9 o'clock in the morning, not realizing my parents wake me up at 7 in the morning so I can get to school. Like, like none of this stuff is me doing it myself. Right. Like, I didn't have to depend on me. I was dependent on others. So, like, the first semester went through, I messed up my financial aid. They were like, yo, you can still go back to school, but if you do it again, we're going to put you on financial suspension. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to take a break. This is what I told my mom. This is what I told my grandmother. Like, no, just go. You'll figure it out while you're there, this, that, and the other. You'll do so much better, this, that, and the other. And I was like, okay. So they signed me up. I did it again. Like, I understood as a person, before they said anything, before they signed me up, I understood that I wasn't ready. And because I wasn't ready, I should have listened to what I was saying because I knew me.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. I'm like, we get into these situations, and they're technically the right things to do, and that's why I talked about it, because there's certain things that technically aren't wrong. It's not wrong. It's just wrong for you in the moment. Like sex isn't wrong. Sex before marriage is wrong. Sex with someone other than your wife or your husband.
Well, Jesus. Yeah.
Is depending on the sex. I don't know who you are.
Wait, there's no caveat on that one. Adultery's wrong. Like,
But like,
we
like,
gotta reevaluate the pods.
but that's the part that's wrong. Like it's out of context, out of like, and it's the misunderstanding of that gets you into a wrong place. So it's not that you we're out. Yeah. Dad, hold on a second.
Yeah. Good.
Hold on. I got another camera. I'm ready. But it's not that these things are wrong. These things are wrong when they're out of place. So when they're not used in the proper context, like some people have an issue with people swearing and cursing. I have an issue with people swearing and cursing at me because I understand that some people just speak that way. Like that's how they grew up. That's their vernacular. Like they don't know other words to say. These are the words they've learned. This is what they've used all their lives. So I can't expect them to get to me and then all of a sudden they know how to speak business.
Right.
Like that's a vastly improper diagnosis. Like, but I understand intention. So if you, this effing like type of stuff, like are you accentuating or are you trying to offend me? Kind of thing. Because now if I look at it from that point of view, now I can take whatever you're saying, as T was saying earlier, about understanding why you're upset or why you're offended or why this bothers you. Like I understand that your intention was to hurt me, so now I'm offended. But if your intention wasn't to hurt me, then you just saying these words doesn't offend me. Or if I don't have as much stake in that claim, then it doesn't bother me. Like, all right, people swear. But let me. I digress.
So, for those of you just joining us, this is the Logic Based Collective. We are on the Digital Boombox Network. We are on Logic Based Collective on YouTube. We are on Soft Spoken Prophet TV. We are on. So we're for those of you listening through the app, through the Digital Boombox Network, the app, shout out to y'all. So we're talking about what shapes our decision making, and kind of just think about the weight of the decisions that we do make. How do we make those things? Sometimes I know to the overthinker, we can think about it. Somebody was saying earlier today, make like no decision. It's been, you know what I mean? Like I do that at the store sometimes. I do it purposely to not spend no money. like yo, I know that if I stick around long enough, I can figure out a reason why I shouldn't buy it.
Right.
So, just in like with those decisions, there was a we were talking about in men's group because the prophet yesterday was talking about how our blueprint isn't necessarily it's a flawed blueprint.
Yeah.
And I was
Unreliable.
Yes, unreliable. And I was saying to these guys about how in this devotional I was talking about how it says that we are laborers, that we are laborers with God.
Yes.
But God is the architect.
Right.
And it is not our job as the builders to come up with the blueprint. It's not our job to do. You know what I mean? Like all it really is our job to do is to follow those instructions. And so it can be. I mean, because online it can be tough. Like I want to say on the internet, God told everybody everything. So we, so you know what I mean. Like we, want to be mindful of what we're being influenced by.
Yes.
What who it is that we listen to.
Yes.
Who it is that we accept counsel from.
Yes.
Like those things, like that really makes a difference on the way that we see the world, the way that we, you know what I mean? Even like the way that we believe, there could be, and it's the reason why we should know the word for ourselves. Anybody can just tell you anything, and because of who they might be, you would just believe them. Like one thing that I can appreciate about TW is like he's his own man. Now his brothers are older, some exponentially older than he is. Yo,
I didn't say that, fellas. I didn't say that. Not that he's wrong, but I ain't saying it.
Fellas, you know what I mean? Like, yo, but even though he's the youngest child, he's still his own man. So even though they give him advice, and it'll be good advice, he's still looking to do what it. You know what I'm saying? He's making it make sense for him.
Right.
And so that's something that I really admired even when we first became friends, was that this cat don't just you know what I'm saying, he don't just do whatever, you know what I mean, it's always based on this stuff in the way that it makes in the way that it makes sense to him. And so I think sometimes with me, you know what I mean, I feel like even in the things that the Lord says to do, and in the past, and even on today, a lot of times it's hard to not ask why. It's hard to not say, I want to see why this makes sense, because in my mind I'm like, I need to put this together in order to take that step. But that's kind of contrary to
that's
faith.
the point.
You know what I'm saying? And so but it but that's sort of the line that the line that we walk. I don't want for just my experiences to shape my decisions.
Right.
That does not work out every time. I don't want just the things that I've seen happen to other people. I want to be mindful of those things.
Right.
But I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not looking to those things and saying well, this is gonna be my, so and so did it, so it ain't gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that have some things that may have not worked out, that might work out for me. There's some things that might have worked out for some others that's not what I should do. And so I think that probably the conversation in the faith-based manner would be how to be able to really hear God. Because again, like I said, everybody, you go online, it's like, this probably such and such said, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? There, and people just doing stuff, and you know what I mean? I don't want to just be just doing things and hoping that it works out. I want to hope that, you know what I mean, if there's any hope to be had, it's in that I've done it the way that the Lord said to do it. I know that it's going to work out. I'm not hoping that it's going to work out. I know that it is.
Right.
But I hope that I want to hope, have the, you know what I'm saying, what is it, the blessed hope? You know what I'm saying, yeah.
But I think that's a part of the reason why he allows us to get those glimpses of the end, of the promise, the end result, the thing that he's alluded to along the way, so that he can give continue to show you along the journey that this is the expected outcome. This is what I have for you. But also, I'm not going to tell you the middle.
Yeah. Oh, never the middle.
Never the middle. But I'm not going to tell you the middle just because I'm going to throw you an okie doke every once in a while. It's just going to be oh, oops, didn't see that coming.
Gotta be quicker than that.
Right. And he does that so often. But how there's no way for us to grow. There's no way for us to learn to trust and lean on him if he were to tell us the exact path, the exact route, and the exact timing.
Absolutely.
There's just no way.
No.
So, and that's where, at least for me, that's where my hope be coming from, because I'm just I know what you said.
Right. Right.
I know what you said. And there is a scripture that tells me that your word cannot return void. So
Correct.
Therefore, I'm going to just keep trusting that, whatever's happening, whatever my eye can see, it does not negate what you've already told me.
Correct.
So, and not everybody is there. I have my days when I'm not there. There's a lot of
Listen.
days when I'm not there.
Absolutely.
But that's when I just have to keep reminding myself, like, oh, he's the God of everything.
I
Like,
mean, I'll be transparent. So for me, what the question that keeps spinning in my head is, how do you trust God when you don't believe? Which is kind of around the same place we're at. But how do you trust God when you don't have trust in the direction He's telling you to go?
yeah. That's
Um,
good.
and because that was like, that's the story of Jonah. Like, he doesn't believe he needs to go to Tarshish. He doesn't believe that was it Tarshish or Nineveh? Yeah, because he went to
Yeah, Nineveh.
he was supposed to go to Nineveh. He went to Tarshish. My bad, I said it backwards.
He didn't want to go.
He didn't want to
You
go.
didn't want to go.
That's really what it is. Like, I don't believe I need to go this way.
I
Kind
kind
of
of
thing.
feel you had a good reason. I'm just
I mean,
saying.
if it makes you feel any better, later on in Jonah, he says, "You did exactly what I said you was gonna do." Like, this is the place where Jonah's at, but this is like the place where a lot of us get to. And for me, it's just, I hear God by reading the Word. I try to find there's so much that's in the Word that you can apply. If you use it in context, you can apply to other places in life.
Yeah.
And I try to live there because I'm like, I know what God says. So like, a lot of times, like, I get into arguments with myself. It's probably my spirit arguing with my flesh, if I'm being honest. But but I'll get to a place where I'm like, I know what you said. And like, me and Siobhan were actually laughing about it earlier because Toby Nwigwe has a song, Try Jesus, Not Me.
Yeah.
'Cause I got hands.
Right. But I understand, like I understand what the Word says, and I understand that the Bible, Jesus doesn't call me to my standard. He asks me to meet His. So like, even stuff that I don't agree with, I have to meet the standard because that's the standard. And it's a tough pill to swallow, especially when it's not something you want to do.
Right.
Like, but at the same time, long suffering is the fruit of the Spirit. Like, which is also a tough pill to swallow. Like, all right, like, this is a part of it. Like, this is something that goes with it.
It's the lima bean of the
Right.
spirit.
I mean, I like lima beans, but it's definitely the squash. Like, I don't really.
I don't want to.
It's the zucchini.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
You can keep that one. I don't really. I know you said it was good for me, but there's some other. Listen, there's apples back there. Like, I could pick a whole bunch of other things that I like, but
Put
these
the
are
watermelon in the spirit.
right. Like, I could go through a list of the things that I like, but
I think that's why that's the beauty of choice for me, right? And I don't want to
Yeah.
keep beating a dead horse for
There
me,
you go.
but I think that's important because there's what He wants and there's what you want, and He gives you the ability to go after what you want. But I think your lesson or your trial or your tribulation is based on the choices you've made.
Absolutely.
Right? If you follow the Word and you do what He wants you to do, you might not have such a difficult road.
Correct.
But He's going to give you the choice to say, "Oh, you want to take this route?
Right.
Well, you're going to have to pay this penalty." You know what I'm saying?
Obedience is
Right.
In order to get back to where I want you to be,
Yes.
and you're going to learn that lesson because you did what you wanted to do,
Right.
and I allowed you to do what you wanted to do. But now you're gonna have to, it's reaping and sowing, right?
absolutely, that's exactly
You
what
sowed
it is.
this seed, so now you're gonna have to reap this course correction,
Yeah.
right? So I think that's an important component too. Not all the choices that we make are going to be right, but not
No.
all the choices we're going to make is going to be wrong either.
Correct.
That's why He gave us a choice. That He knows our hearts. He knows what we want. And He knows what we're going to do before we do it. But He's going to allow me to make a mistake, and He's going to
Absolutely.
use that mistake to help me grow.
Well, what it is the mistake. The mistake is, all right. So what Jesus is trying to get us to do, what Jesus wants us to do, is to love Him unconditionally. That's what God wants. God wants us to be in relation with Him, to be in relationship with Him, to be with Him, to trust Him because He is our Father. He's our Creator. He wants us to have the level of trust that He has put inside of us, that we trust that He has the right judgment, that He wants what's best for us. And that's why we have these scriptures.
Yeah.
But the truth of the matter is, He also gave us free will because He doesn't want us to just do it out of obligation.
Right.
Like, I want you to want to trust.
Yes.
But I also want you to understand that there's a reason why I'm saying things. Like, for instance, I tell my kids not to play in the street, not because I don't like them having fun. We played in the street when we were kids too. But we understood, like, depending on how small you are, it's hard for a car to see you. And if somebody's not paying attention, I depicted this in a Bible study. I'm like, you get trouble when two people aren't paying attention. Because like if you're playing in the street and a car pulls up, but the person driving is paying attention, they'll slow down and stop. If you're playing in the street and you're paying attention and you see a car pull up, you'll move out the way. But if you both aren't paying attention, if the person that's driving the car is texting and you're too busy playing, then that's when you have an accident. Because you both were out of place and you both weren't paying attention. That's why the Bible says to watch and pray. Because it's important to be aware of your surroundings. So God wants us to, going back to the analogy, God wants us to be in right relationship with him so that he can keep us safe from dangers that we don't see or that we don't see coming. And that's the reason why he'll put that detour that you brought up earlier in the place that you normally go. Because I want you to see that driving with me is more important than going with what you're used to.
Yeah.
I want you to see that relationship with me is more important than tradition or habit.
Yeah.
Like, because there's so many things that we do just because we're used to doing them. Like, this is what I always do. This is what makes sense to me. This is what my family has always done. This is how they've always made the cornbread. But sometimes people will make a mistake making the cornbread and then make a doper cornbread. Like, oh, John, I never even knew if you put whatever in there, like, you're straight.
Yeah.
Like, little stuff like that. Like, God is trying to show us that it's better with him than without him.
Yeah.
But because he loves us and he wants us to choose him, he gives us the opportunity to mess it up as long as we'll go back. Like, dude, I'm gonna give you enough slack just to be like, all right, cool. You tried your way. All right, cool. All right, you see that it doesn't work. I'm gonna tug to let you know that I'm back here. I'm back this way.
Right, and he'll let you go.
Right.
He'll let you.
I'll let you. I'll give you some more space if you need it. But I only have so much slack that I'm holding on to.
Right.
So at some point, like if you've ever had a yo-yo before, if they loosens up, it falls off. Like that's how it goes.
I think that's what the old saints be talking about. They be like, the Lord got his hooks in you. You're gonna go so far, start reeling you back. Amber said, she said, we're not gonna get it right 100% of the time, but we can grow and learn more from those times. And now also like the spirit and flesh battle is so real.
For
Like,
real.
don't even get me started, man.
Listen.
Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like, but yo, you know what? Because earlier Siobhan had said, obedience is better than sacrifice, and like, you know what I mean? Like, and some of us understand that more than most. But yo, what we don't think about sometimes is that there is going to be a sacrifice.
Yes.
It's not saying that you should not sacrifice. It's obedience is better than sacrifice is when we are trying to sacrifice the wrong thing.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? Like obedience is the sacrifice. Believe that. It's just that we have to give God exactly what it is that he wants.
Right.
The problem is that like a lot of times when the Lord comes to us with that stuff is like, yo, you know, he will tell us what it is that he wants us to give up. We will tell him what we are willing to give up. And there's a clash. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a clash right there. Now why he's doing that, we don't know. You know what I'm saying? It could be the Abraham Isaac situation where he's like, yo, I just want to see if you would do it, or because I have something better, or you know what I'm saying? Like there's a myriad of reasons why this happens, but we can't, you know what I'm saying? But we have to know, we have to continue to keep in our minds that there is going to be a sacrifice. That's not to say that, you know, I'm gonna, you know, like I'm gonna just randomly, you know, sacrifice whatever, you know, like sure, he will honor that thing, but in terms of obedience, it's like, you know what I'm saying, like this thing that I'm, you know what I'm saying, like that I'm putting on your mind, like it, like that, because so what's the word say, like where man's treasure is, his heart is there also, like, you know what I'm saying, like, yo, your heart is gonna be where your treasure is, like the things that you know what I'm saying, like that you value more than anything. That's not to say that he's telling you to take all of the things that you hold dear and just to toss them out of your mind. But we have to remember that God is a jealous God, that God does want to be first. He's not going to take a back seat to anybody. And so it's kind of like that Ricky Bobby, if you're not first, you're last. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's how God looks at it.
Like that's, you know what I mean? Like, so he's not, so we can put him second. He's not going to be second. He's gonna just stand to the side until we're ready to you know, to put him first. And the thing, you know what I mean? Like in putting God first, while it's a popular phrase, and to really do that is very difficult.
No, it's difficult.
Because it's not just in us saying it or just saying, you know what I mean? Like we're not, is yes, we're putting the Lord first. When we give our offering, our first fruits before we spend any of our money, we put our time in our offering. Yes, great. That's in that area though.
Yeah.
Right.
If we're talking about, one thing that I learned when we were taking our elders classes, that we have to live the whole Bible.
Right.
And there's not going to be getting around it. Sometimes I've, what I'm saying, like I've strayed away from, and thinking, because we always want to think about our strong areas, the areas that's easy for us, or things that we can do. Okay, well, I can give up chocolate because I'm fat anyway. You know what I'm saying? I already needed to lose weight. Like that's, you know what I'm saying? Like
I get what you're saying.
Like like that's but it's like it's talking about the whole thing. The Bible speaks about the total man.
Right.
And so we're, you know what I mean? Like so we can't. I'm saying we, AJ, you can't compartmentalize the word. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, because it's a tendency to be able to do that. And of course, because the things that we're weak in are not, you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make us feel good to look at those things. So I was just telling these guys in men's group, like, bro, like I feel just like a certain level of disappointment in myself, and you know what I'm saying, like not getting for having these blind spots. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but if you don't know, T was like, you didn't know, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like if you know what I mean, like if it's not something that it's called a blind spot for a reason. It's like, like we don't want to look at that. It's painful to look at because now I'm forced again to see myself in this light that I don't want to be, you know what I'm saying, like that. I don't want to see, but it's necessary to be able to. And so to bring that full circle, when we're talking about obedience being better than sacrifice, like no, we're gonna have to make the sacrifice, but the sacrifice is to live the total will of God for our lives, and not just in moments and in spurts and in some parts. We have to live it in everything it is that we do.
So what
hold on,
my
I just
bad.
want to
Go
speak to
ahead.
this for just
Yeah,
a second because I was literally just having a conversation on sacrifice versus discipline.
Ooh.
Right? And I really think that it's a mindset because it's really the same thing, but it's really how you think about it. Because you can think about missing something and say that you have to sacrifice for it, or you can have a more uplifting and positive
I like
mindset
that.
and saying that I'm using discipline because I know what I need to do.
Yeah,
I know how I
right.
need to live. I know where I want to be. So I'm going to be disciplined in my approach versus being someone that has to sacrifice and feel like I'm missing out on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody's going to the club. I have to sacrifice doing that to do that. No, I'm being disciplined because I know there's nothing for me in the club. I know there's no women that I desire in the club. I know that if I do pull something out of there, it's not going to be something that's good for me long term. So there's a difference, in my opinion, on discipline versus sacrifice because it's a mindset. So how do you want to live your life? Do you want to live your life with a defeatist mindset or a positive, more uplifting mindset? And I choose for myself, and I'm learning to grow and stretch into a place of discipline versus a place of sacrifice. But I just wanted to touch on that because I literally
like that.
just had that
That was
conversation.
good. That was really good.
Bars.
That was good.
Came
that
out
was,
flex
that was
real
like some
quick.
battle rap.
But I'm literally trying to
Yeah.
put myself in
I
a
get you.
position, right? Because you can either be less than or you can be greater than, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
there's always going to try and be some level of balancing the equation, and I'd rather be on the greater than the less than side.
But that's
So you choose when you choose discipline, and right in anything that you want to be successful at, consistency and discipline is going to be necessary.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, like even what you're saying, not to cut you off, bro.
no, you're good.
And even in saying that, like you know what I mean, it's amazing. I want to.
I know,
That part
we got
too.
it.
Where we at? What's the time at?
Right. So you clip it.
Because
Clip.
TW got bars though. They don't say the time.
I-
AJ, you got it?
It is at we are at hour 39 minutes.
Okay. So, with that made me think about so just recently, even speaking of leaning on your own understanding, I realized that there's a difference between being a nice guy and a good man.
I've had that conversation over the last
Ooh.
month as
And
well.
so,
I like that.
and so because I'm a Christian, you know what I'm saying? Like I want to be able to do well to everyone. A lot of times it leads me down roads that I should not go down because I'm trying to be a nice guy. Because in my mind, that is what a Christian is a nice guy. But it's like in decision making, you can't always be that.
Right.
You have to be a good man. A good man does what it is that he is supposed to do, as opposed to what makes other people feel good all the time.
Correct.
Whatever it is that my responsibility is, whatever it is that the Lord is telling me to do, it's not always going to paint me in the greatest lights. It's not
Right.
always going to be a situation where it's like, I'm doing like the nice guy thing. I have a problem with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but more than anything, I want to be able, like I want to do the things that he wants me to do. So I have to transition even at 42 to just, to doing the things that a good man does. You know what I'm saying? Like that is not to like the cliche stuff. Well, now we're talking about character.
Yeah.
We're talking about integrity. Just
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like the things that would not be the decisions that wouldn't be so popular, but it's the right thing to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so
I get
like
you.
that's what you were saying reminded me of is like we come to those points and like now like that is a decision because I have to decide what it is that I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, am I gonna be loved or am I gonna am I gonna just step out and do the things that I know
Yeah.
that I'm supposed to.
And in the conversation that I had, I think it really came down to, for me and my understanding, was people pleasing. The difference between a nice guy and a good guy is the opinion of others, right? If I'm a good guy, I'm going to do what's good for me, and I'm not going to step out and do things that people will think is good for them, or to be a people pleaser and just to appease other people because I want someone to have a good opinion of me. I say this often, and I repeat it often because I'm really trying to get that as a part of a, I always say I got to stand on my square, you know what I mean? And I want that to be a square that I stand on, you know what I mean? Other people's opinion of me is none of my business. And when you're a people pleaser, you often go on a leap to make sure that people like you or people appreciate you or people feel a certain way about you. I think the older I get, the less I care about other people's opinions of me. I'm going through something right now where a lot of people have a lot of different opinions of me. I'm not going to let that affect me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because none of those people add any value to my life.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the only reason that they're really talking or feeling a certain way is because of their insecurity.
Yeah.
And your insecurity is not my issue.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So when you see me stepping in a different direction or I'm moving in a different way and you didn't expect that of me, that's on you, bro.
Yeah.
I've already know what I have inside. I already know what my directions are. I'm moving in this way because I'm thinking in this way. You know what I'm saying? My thoughts are becoming actions. But before I can make those actions, I've had to think about it and process and make sure that these things are working in the way that I want them to work.
Yeah.
You feel me? So when you see my actions, now you feel a certain way because you've been stagnant, and now your your stagnant space is making you feel insecure about your position. It's not my problem, bro. You can talk and say what you want.
Go ahead. You got it.
That's
You got it.
yeah,
100%.
So now I'm with you. So just to give background, so T is talking about perspective, and perspective is huge. Just going back to what he was talking about, changing how he looks at sacrifice versus discipline,
Yeah.
and that lines up biblically. So the Bible says that God chastises who He loves, but I think we look at same thing. We look at chastisement in a negative context.
Yeah.
And because we look at it in a negative context, like, well, I'm in trouble or I'm doing something wrong or I should be ashamed of this, like, it's the opportunity to fix something. And like seeing it as a discipline where I'm not losing something, I'm gaining something else. So like changing the focus to it. Like I'm not losing time at the club. I'm gaining the ability to hone a craft or to do something else that I think is more productive or that's going to build me up or build my people around me up. So understanding like that, I think they say that addition by subtraction is a thing. So basically, like I take away something that is hindering me. Like instead of me getting another job to add to my wages, if I cut down on the amount of money I spend outside on fast food, like now I have addition by subtraction. Like I have more money to spend towards something else. Like So understanding like how these things work and that your perspective can change how you view things and how and basically your overall demeanor about them. Also, the people pleasing, going into understanding that their opinion of you doesn't change who you are. Like their opinion of you doesn't make you any more or less than.
Right.
Like and understanding that you don't have or getting to a place where you don't have stock in their opinion, so they can't make or break you. That is huge because like people that are people pleasers will get torn down by people that just tell them things that they don't want to hear or that they just say out of anger or out of pain or because like T said they're going through something so they're lashing out. Like cuz that's real life. People go through stuff and then they take it out on somebody else. Sometimes they mean to, sometimes they don't. Like
Yeah.
but because of that understanding like all right, there used to be an old song. I don't know if any churches that sing it anymore, but
Okay, come on.
this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to
Okay.
me. The world didn't give it. The world can't take it away. But understanding that you can have happiness or joy from God. It doesn't have to be from people because people will let you down, and not intentionally, like I said before, not because they want to, or not always because they want to, but just because we're people. We mess up.
Right. Facts.
Circling back to what was it? What the art of choosing? What affects your decision making? Did I just add effects?
No, I think something that I think about more on the secular side, because we've been kind of really religious heavy, but just, you know, if anyone is out there listening that's not super religious, just on the secular side, what you feed yourself is important. And I'm not just talking
Absolutely.
about actual food. I'm talking about the people you spend time with. Are you living in an echo chamber where people are just co-signing the
Yeah.
things that other people are saying or regurgitating the same thing just because it's easy? The music you listen to, the books you're reading, the things you're scrolling, the time and place that you spend. Are you giving yourself time for meditation? Sometimes the answers to your questions come with silence, and like silence for some people is a very scary space because they don't truly love themselves or enjoy themselves. I know that I'm in like personally, I know that I'm in a good relationship when I can be in the same room as somebody I care about and not have to speak to them. You know what I mean? When we can just enjoy being together, but enjoying silence, where I don't have to fill the space. I don't feel like I have to come up with conversation. I can just exist with this person and have my own thoughts.
Right.
You know what I
That's
mean?
dope.
So like those things are also things that I feel like feed your spirit. Not like in a religious way, but just in a way like that you're filling your time and your space with something. So
Absolutely.
be careful how you're spending your time, like the things that you're reading, the people you spend time with, you know, what you're scrolling, what content you're looking at. All of that stuff can shift or adjust how you feel about a certain topic or things of that nature. So just know that we've been really spiritually heavy, but on the other side of things, if we're looking at how other people may make decisions, some of those things can really skew how you feel or what your thought process is. So be careful of how you're spending your time, what you're soaking in as far as content.
I agree.
Not the Logic Based Collective, because that's fire.
Yeah, you gotta watch that one. That's not a choice. But no, I agree because I haven't been saved all my life. I haven't been a Christian. Well, I've been a Christian all my life, but I haven't been saved all my life. And there are other things that I did to kind of focus me. Just understanding that some things just pay a toll on you. Some things just weigh on you, and understanding that there's good weight and there's bad weight. Some things like wanting to do like I talked earlier about buying a house. Like buying a house is something that everybody, or not everybody does, but a lot of people wish to do, and they have the want to do. Sometimes that may be a bad weight depending on what you have going on financially, but sometimes it may be a good weight. But understanding like there's certain things like we've talked about toxic relationships quite a few times on the show. That is, if you didn't know, a bad weight. That's probably not the best weight you want to have. I mean, if you want to keep it, that's your business. But just understanding that like your peace means or should mean the most to you. You being able to feel at home when you're at home, being able to feel relaxed, being able to not feel on edge, like you have to fight for everything. These are dangerous places to be, and a lot of times we make our worst decisions when we're backed into a corner, and we feel like we have to do something right then and right there. That's actually what scam artists prey on.
Yeah.
They try to hit you with urgency. Something has to be done right now, so you're nervous and you make a bad decision. So anything that puts you in that place where you feel like you need to do something immediately, you can't wait, you don't have a time to really fully process your thought process and go through your emotions, kind of take a step back and then try to get yourself right.
I just to give my little 2 cents. I think one of the best things you can do to help yourself become a bit better decision maker is to really know yourself. And I think
Absolutely.
I say this in every podcast, every episode. It's allow yourself to take the time to know yourself. If you don't know what you value, if you don't know even just the things that you like, you're not going to be able to make sound decisions. If you don't know who you are, you don't. I mean, and that again is a thing that changes over time. I think as you know, you experience life and things have happened, you know, those things may change, and you got to take the time to evaluate what is of value to you. Where do you see your life going? Because where you saw your life going 10 years ago may not be the same path that you're on now. So your decisions will affect the desired outcome. So it's really, again, just taking the time, like Terrell had mentioned, take the time to be alone. Enjoy your alone time. Talk to yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and I will always, encourage people to pray, even if you don't have that cultivated relationship with God. He still be looking to hear from you. So, just really, again, try to get to know yourself better so that when these situations come up, you know where you stand. You stand on your square like Terrell, and you know that when push comes to shove, this is who you are. So regardless of what's thrown at you, this is what you're going to do. That's just my 2 cents.
All right, you can send your offering to dollar sign Siobhan Wilson. No. So with that, we are just at about 10:45, and I think that we have spoken well on this subject, and there's not a need to super drag it out, unless I'm pretty sure we can always find a talking point. But I think you guys have summed it up very, very well. I don't know that there's more that we want to or that we want to say, but one thing that I do know is that if you go in your phone to your web browser and you go to spreadtheword.store,
Hey,
you can find your fine Christian apparel with the word on it. That is spreadthegoodword.com. Spreadtheword.store. Spreadthegoodword.com. You are listening to the Logic Based Collective. We are at the Logic Based Collective on YouTube. If you have not already done so, like, share, and subscribe. Share, tell a friend. Listen, the conversation may be over, but it never really has to die. Come back, put your 2 cents in. Put the comments in. Everybody doesn't listen to podcasts in real time, so we don't mind going back to any of these subjects.
Right.
And just talking about it, hearing your 2 cents
from a different perspective.
Yep. Yes. Like, share, and subscribe to Logic Based Collective on YouTube. You can also find us on Facebook, and the conversation continues on Facebook. It'll say the Logic Based Collective, but one of us will be responding. And so we'll be here for that. We're also the Logic Based Collective. We are on the Digital Boombox Network. Everybody listening on the app, we appreciate y'all. Everybody listening on YouTube, we appreciate y'all. Shout out to Gina Belvin, the owner of the Digital Boombox Network, and also whoever owns Soft Spoken Prophet TV. We like
Whoever that is.
yeah, whoever it is that you are, sir.
Right.
We appreciate you.
Yeah.
Hold on. We can't say sir. We don't know.
Yo, but as the old folks would say, the hour is far spent, and we are out. If there are no church announcements,
Yeah, I'm good.
we good.
Oh, we're good. Wait.
All right, yo,
Do we
are you
have-
preaching somewhere this week?
Not this week.
Okay.
Do we have the isn't the women's conference, the district meeting next week?
It's something's happening.
Like the 17th or something like that?
Listen,
We'll be back before then.
yeah,
Yeah. 'cause-
we'll be able to get that out to y'all because I'm telling y'all that would take all day because we just
That's next week. All right, cool.
so we gonna so we gonna keep moving until the next time. This is a Logic Based Collective. Allow Jesus to be the lotion that lathers your ashy soul.
So bite the bullet. It's 2, 2, 3s through your cavities that exit out the back of your mullet. Should have happened to pull it trigger. So how you figure, nigga? I read the evidence and watched my sins off in the same river.
Possessed by Marcus Garvey, the vessel, the body, ancestors inside me. I'm starting the insurrection. The Pope's blessings upon me couldn't even call me protection. Come for prayers, my question. Why they tried to play us, I'm guessing. It's cause I call fundamentals, they might offend you. And when I wore my fatigues, what I got into. On the corner, had power, was a trapper shorty making plays every hour.
Yeah.
I did it for the glory.
Just another nigga from the streets, trying to find himself a little piece of the pie. No, it's a bigger picture than the one that meet the eye, so might have to walk away from this life for my survival. I got dreams and visions, it's all getting colossal, like moving mama to a castle, cause it's a hassle, getting caught up in the devil's lasso. And that's what a wise man once told me. I got a lot of love and respect for my OGs.
A lot of us turned out to predicate felons, not I. My brethren's addicted to sellers, slipped to turn to somebody's cellar. I wish that somebody would tell us then. Tell us chances were slim when you dancing with sin. It all start from within. Suede Pumas back when I was charging them 10. Who would've knew I would rock them events? I rock with my young G's, that's just common sense. Static Selector. Yeah. Joey Badass.